When people first discover Marshall, Michigan, it's usually love at first sight.
Felt like it's just kind of almost frozen in time, like real small town America.
For Diane Larkin, living in a small town has no equal, especially if the small town happens to be historic Marshall.
Marshall has a wonderful history. We were settled in around 1830 by land speculators that came and they mapped out the territory and thought this would be a great place for the capital of the territory. Marshall was handpicked by people and designed to be the state capital, and we lost by one vote in the legislature.
That one vote loss may be the best thing that ever happened to Marshall. Over time, the city evolved into a perfectly preserved historic attraction and one of Michigan's gems of a city.
We are one of the largest national landmark districts in the country. We have this amazingly intact architecture.
Amazing architecture and a lot of community pride.
I've lived in a small town all my life, but we have an extraordinary amount of community pride here in Marshall.
It may have been pride that first inspired the creation of the Marshall Community Foundation in 1970. Nearly 4 decades later, there are few things in town that haven't been touched by Marshall's most prolific nonprofit.
We've kind of seen it progress from the single-purpose project to now a foundation that approaches $10 million in assets, and we can grant up to $400,000 annually. So it's been quite a journey.
Vestiges of that first single-purpose project can be found here at Marshall High School. With the help of an original $1 million matching grant from the W.K. Kellogg Foundation in 1970, Marshall's Community Foundation was launched by establishing a Youth Advisory Committee, or YAC. These enterprising teenagers comprise a generous organization with a single purpose: evaluate proposals and award priority grants based on identified community needs for Greater Marshall. Essentially, their job is to give money away in a community where learning to give is as natural as learning to walk.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Great.
The YACers administer a grant budget of, I think, $60,000 or $70,000 annually.
Drive around Marshall today, and you'll see the Community Foundation's fingerprints at every turn. Community development, arts and culture, youth, healthcare, education, scholarships, and more.
With the schools and the cities having budget cutbacks, there is more and more need for nonprofits to step in to supplement programs. We've done that a lot.
One engaging institution helped out by the Community Foundation is the Frank Center for the Arts, one of Marshall's greatest success stories.
The building wasn't in jeopardy of becoming a parking lot. We purchased the building with the intention to preserve, renovate, and maintain the Frank Center as a cultural place for the community to provide enrichment, community growth, and economic growth. The renovation process took about 3 years, and we're still in the process of updating and renovating. I am most proud of the Frank Center's growth in the community, most proud of the community support, the sponsors, the donors.
Donors like local businessman and philanthropist Tom Frank, who was a major benefactor behind the renovation of the building that now bears his family's name.
I think philanthropy is sharing what you are lucky enough to have.
Today, the center offers a variety of guest artists and local performances that have earned the Frank a stellar reputation throughout the Midwest.
We've become known as a art center of Calhoun County, and we are growing, which I think is very important to the economic growth of our community.
That includes the Marshall Civic Players, who have performed on this stage since 1970, and a talented children's group called the Shamrock Players.
I can proudly say that without the Marshall Community Foundation support, these Shamrock Players would not exist. Donating, giving to the Community Foundation will ensure that the future of the community will strive and have continued success.
When there's a need and the people perceive that as a need that is justified, the Marshall community gets behind it 100%.
How about 110%? That's what happened with another major community project, the creation of Kids Kingdom, a new playground designed by the children of Marshall. Janet Domingo and Jackie Hathaway served as project managers.
It's just a fabulous structure. It's just amazing. And it was done in 6 days.
It is fair to say, without the Community Foundation, this might not have ever happened.
We had wonderful volunteers that took this program to heart. We had senior citizens. We had high school groups. Church groups were very active. All kinds of age groups, all from all different parts of town.
The Community Foundation lent its reputation to this project. They acted as our fiduciary for this project, and that made it okay for people to support us.
From the beginning of the day to the end of the day, what you had accomplished was just amazing.
You know, in 30 years, we hope this playground lasts that long, and when it's time to build a new playground, hopefully we have a new crop of kids who understand that legacy of service and giving, and are going to be that next generation of people who are going to give to their community foundations and who are going to be involved in projects just like this because they learned it from their parents.
As I do my estate planning, I want my kids' needs taken care of, I want my funeral expenses paid, but then my local community foundation is a way to be able to give back to my community so that it continues to do good forever.
That's localism at its best. That's for good and forever because we're passing it on.